Hey everyone, on today's episode of the JetLife Uncovered, we are with Antonina Shevchenko. She is a professional pilot and also a professional UFC fighter who has now finished her career as a Pilatus PC-12 captain and now transitioning her way to the Cessna Latitude flying jets. We get to know today about Antonina as she grows up from Kyrgyzstan, moving to the United States and following her dreams of being a UFC fighter and also a professional pilot.
You are now listening to the JetLife Uncovered, an insightful podcast that explores the minds of those who have conquered to live a meaningful life in the air and on the ground. Whether you're a pilot, frequent flyer, or celebrity, we uncover the deep truths of what it's like to live life in and out of the jet. I'm your host, Fernando Contreras, airline pilot, personal trainer, and intervention coach. You're about to take off into a conversation with individuals in which we get to know their intersection between living a purposeful life and reaching peak performance. The JetLife Uncovered podcast starts now.
Antonina, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Fernando, for inviting me.
Yes, of
My
course.
pleasure.
How you been? How was training going with your recent jet transition?
Very intense, very tough. Check ride for ATP was super tough, super long, but I did it.
Good,
I survived.
Good, very good. That's awesome. So hey, I want to talk a little bit about the outline of what the podcast is going to be. I want to talk about like your upbringing in Kyrgyzstan, how you got involved with martial arts, what got you involved with pilot. Then we're going to talk about your martial arts life and then also your pilot life.
Okay.
So I want to dive a little bit into both of those. So you're very passionate about aviation and very passionate about martial arts.
Yes.
So and you had this since you were very young. I watched a lot of interviews about you and I got to really know how you came about aviation, how you came about martial arts. And they both started when you were very young, but would you say now you're more of an athlete first or a pilot first?
I definitely more an athlete first.
Okay.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, first of all, because I do it since 7 years old, and I did it as a professional career like 30 years.
Yeah.
I have 11 world titles. So I would say I was as a world champion, I was on the top. But aviation career, I'm just discovering. So I just did my first jet type rating. So I'm kind of new,
Okay.
right, at this. But let's say, I'm glad that in my life I had this athlete stuff and I have aviation now because they're different, but they're very similar.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that too, because at the end of the day, what came first was martial arts for you. And it's something that you still bring with you as a pilot.
Yes.
It's what's you.
Exactly.
It's primarily, I don't want to say your identity because you're more than just a martial artist, right? You're a pilot, you're a self-grown woman. You can do so many things, but it's not your only identity, but it's a big part of it, right?
Exactly, because first of all, I'm in martial arts because of my mom. So when I was 7 years old, my mom, she said, okay, she was martial artist as well. And she said, okay, my daughters, me and my sister, my youngest sister, Valentina, she said, okay, my daughters will be martial artists and they will have this whole career about martial arts and professional combat sport. And that's what I did all my life. And of course, as a person, as a human being, I was created, I was taught, I learned all things from martial arts. And of course, all this discipline, all this dedication that you train in martial arts, it helps me in aviation. Because in aviation, there are a lot of stuff that you have to overcome and that you have to deal with.
Absolutely. And so many different facts. And I want to get into that a lot more because those are a lot of questions that I have getting to that topic of you as a pilot. But I want to know a little bit more about what was it like growing up in Kyrgyzstan and having your mother as a role model in Muay Thai, right? She was an instructor in Muay Thai?
I started from Taekwondo ITF.
Okay.
And then it's long life for me in martial arts. I did very many martial arts like kickboxing. I have world titles in Muay Thai. It's MMA, mixed martial arts. I did boxing, of course. Taekwondo is my first and background. that's why they are different. But I started with Taekwondo.
Okay. And so what is Taekwondo, Muay Thai a big sport in Kyrgyzstan? Is that very known there, or is that something that very small sport, not a lot of people know about it, and then when you moved here, it was just you can be able to shine more with it?
When I got into Taekwondo, because when Soviet Union, in time of Soviet Union, there was no like foreign martial arts. It was just, kind of sports that was approved,
Okay.
So there was no karate, there was no Taekwondo. When Soviet Union finished, and it was 1999, so all martial arts start to appear. When I got in Taekwondo, it was very popular, and
Okay.
there was very strong girls team in Taekwondo, and it just because of my coach Paul Fedotov, who was training that time this national team, and they were very strong. That's why I got in sport that was already formed and strong, and there was a lot of competition. With Muay Thai, we grew up in Kyrgyzstan because Muay Thai also, it was new. First it was kickboxing, then Muay Thai. It was new for my country. And I was definitely one of the first women who started who just won a world championship.
Wow.
Yeah, and yes, since it just I have a lot of years in martial arts. That's why I grew up as a fighter, and this sport grew up in my country as a sport.
Wow, that's amazing. So you obviously influenced a lot of people since you were one of the first ones to do Muay Thai in your country, but also women in general. Like I think that martial arts is such an imperative or such an important skill to have that I think for men and women.
Exactly.
But what would you tell or for women out there who may not have an interest in martial arts, but what is so important to have those skills and how you can use them every day?
Well, first of all, for all the women who don't want to practice as a professional, right? Because it's kind of, but there are martial arts like jiu-jitsu that there are no punches and kicks that you can practice professionally till very late age. And of course, it's all beneficial about your body, about developing your body. You're doing stretching, you're doing like force exercises, and it's all good first for your physical condition because it's so diverse. You are developing your body in different levels with hands, with kicks, with legs, stretching. You are flexible. It's all beneficial for your body, of course. And when, in Russia or in my countries, like in Soviet countries, they say when your body is healthy, your mind is healthy.
Yeah.
And that's true. That's why, and also martial arts, they teach you this discipline, self-confidence, because when you get the results, when you get stronger, and you start to win championship, and you start, do high kicks, and it looks pretty. Of course, your confidence growing,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of good stuff for the future, not just, of course, for men, for women, just for everybody. That's why martial arts, I think, for every child is very important. If this child will not do this professionally, it's anyway, I mean, even competing at any level would bring him in his career, which is not martial arts,
Yeah.
will bring him like more good stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think, well, Jess and I have talked on some of the things that we want when we have kids. One of the primary sports that we would want them to be in is martial arts because of everything that it teaches you. For me, I started when I was very young too in Karate Do.
Okay.
And what I still carry with today is the discipline.
Absolutely.
And
yes,
like you
that's the
said,
first thing.
healthy body, healthy mind. And even though I'm not a professional fighter, I still love the art of any kind of martial art. It's
And
just
I saw
beautiful.
your kicks.
Yeah.
You know, I saw your kicks. Even
Yeah.
you're practicing these kicks, and
Yes.
that kick that you, I saw the video.
Yeah.
It's jumping, turning kick. It's very difficult technique. It's not just any kick
Right,
and high
right.
kick. So you developed your body be able to move like this.
Exactly.
To control your body in this way.
Yeah.
So your body performing like this, and this very high level of kicking stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And so discipline is a great trait to have when you do martial arts, but also for safety. Self-defense is one of the biggest things. Maybe growing up in high school or anything like that,
Absolutely.
nobody's going to want to mess with you. Or even in a layover somewhere that might be kind of dangerous, you're out walking on the street, you know how to defend yourself.
Again, when something happens on the street or outside, it just this self-confidence about that you can answer and you are not a victim. That's what you will get. Even you have to run sometimes, because it's dangerous. There are many people
Sure.
who you can fight.
Yeah.
You have to fight. So that's why. But anyways, this confidence on the first pushback from you, martial arts will give you.
I agree 100%.
Today's episode is brought to you by Garmin. If you're looking for the leader in technology for the best fitness watches out there, you gotta go with Garmin. I personally wear the D2 Mach 1 Pro when I'm sleeping, when I'm working out, when I'm flying, and when I'm out socially, because it has such a great unique style to it, but also it has the athletic look and also the classy look as well. So I love being able to interchange the bands to pull off the look that I'm going for. It is super comfortable. It is the leading in technology for about almost any physical activity you can think of: swimming, biking, if you're training for a triathlon, if you're running for a marathon, if you're training for competitions with weights or any sport. It actually tracks everything that you set it up to do. And the app is super amazing. The Garmin Connect just provides information to you that is user-friendly and can actually be able to detect where you can step up your game and also give you great health stats from what you are seeing, what your watch is reading in your body, things that you are not conscious of. It's great to have that kind of information so you can make better decisions in the day. I will leave a link in the descriptions below to the D2 Mach 1 Pro, but if you navigate to any watch on that, it helps provide support for the podcast. Thank you, and here's the show.
So you and your sister, which Valentina is younger than you, right?
Yes.
You guys both started training with your mother as well. What was that relationship like? What was the dynamic? Was it fun? Was it very competitive? And do you guys still share what you did as children today, like that same funness and competition?
Yes. So first of all, we didn't start to train with our mother. So our mom was not our coach.
Okay.
She was coach, but she thought the better to give us to other coach who she trusted, who she thought would be the best coach for us. And this is our coach till now, so many years ago, Pavel Fedotov. Yeah, so when I was 7, she brought me to his gym and I started to train. Valentina, a little bit more younger, she was 5 years old. And again, she was brought to the gym again. And the relationship was pretty simple because, in Kyrgyzstan, traditions are very strong. It's Asian country. There is all this difference between older and younger brothers. There is this authority from older brothers and these sisters that nobody discuss. Not younger brothers discuss, not parents, it's not discussed. Well, there is an authority. So that's why relationship was simple. And my job, when Valentina started to go to the gym, my job was as her older sister to take care of her. So I just looked after her. I made sure she was coming to the training. We were going home together. And, when she started, she was a little bit still little fighter, a new fighter, and I was already, kind of like national champion and stuff like this. So there was this gap a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, then she started to grow up. as a fighter, as as a person.
Yeah, yeah.
And she just started to win all the championships, and yeah.
So you've always been a role model to her.
Well, I would say initially,
Okay.
because she grew up very fast as a fighter. She was 15 years old when she won a senior world championship, and since then it was 2003. And since then, she was first going to UFC. She became UFC champion. Then at some point of life, she became role model for me,
Wow.
because there was this dedication from her. Every training, she worked so hard that at some point, like first we were kind of even, two sisters doing same. And it was pretty nice life, very nice life, because we traveled together, we trained together, we competed together. There was world championships when she was fighting in 10 minutes. I was fighting, so we were preparing for fights like close by each other. Was very nice, yes. And at some point, she just started to be a furious, a stronger woman in the world.
Wow.
And of course, she became role model for me.
Wow, that's amazing. It's so nice to see that from a sibling that you get to stay so close
Yes.
in something that you both love. And it's truly amazing that you got to have that journey because if I remember correctly, I saw somewhere that you and your sister went to train in Peru.
Yes.
For some time, right? And that was to train a little bit for the high altitude, get a little bit better training, or was there something specific about Peru?
Yeah, no, to Peru we went because our coach, Paul Fedotov, he arranged some seminars in Peru initially. That's how we went there. And that time in Peru, there was kickboxing very popular, but there was no like Muay Thai, there was no clinching, and everybody was very interested in Muay Thai. And me and Valentina, I was, I think, 3-time world champion in Muay Thai, and Valentina was 5 maybe times world champion.
Wow.
So they were interested in people like from traditional Muay Thai coming and do seminars and to learn.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what we did. And it was so nice that first we came to Lima, capital.
Yeah.
Then there was a bunch of invitation to go to Arequipa, to go to Cusco, to go to different places just to teach more seminars. And that's how we stayed we lived in Peru 8 years. Yes.
Wow.
We just loved the country.
Yeah.
Their food is amazing. Latin American culture is amazing.
Yeah.
And Peru is so different in all the parts because you have the coast, you have mountains, and you have selva, which is jungle. And every type of region is different, has different culture, different food. You just discovering every day new stuff.
That's amazing. So if I can put together some context clues, your fighting name is La Pantera.
Yes.
Is Peru where it originated? Is that where they gave it to you?
Well, no. Pantera was given, so usually, fighter name usually given by coach to a fighter before his or her first professional fight.
Okay.
So my professional fight was very early, than we went to Peru. And in Russia, it's the same Pantera.
Oh.
So the Russian name Pantera is Pantera.
Okay.
And, in Espanol, it's La Pantera. So that's why I took it.
Wow,
Yes.
that's awesome.
I just like it.
So
how
it was the
sounds.
coaches, like at that moment, at that situation, he was just like, we're going to give you La Pantera or Pantera.
Yes, it was my coach Pavel who decided he gave all professional names like to my sister, to other his students, guy students, by the usually they say that coach knows you better, how you behave, how you look like, how you are in the ring, and that's why by knowing you, he gives you this fighter name.
Got it.
That's how I got my Pantera, because he said I'm a furious cat, a wild furious cat, and my sister got her nickname Bullet.
Wow.
Because she's super fast.
Oh, wow.
She has this fast technique, fast punches, fast kicks. So Bullet was for her.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Was So, back at home in Kyrgyzstan, you started Taekwondo. Once things started to open up a little bit more with mixed martial arts, and different martial arts started evolving with Muay Thai in Kyrgyzstan. At what point did you see that maybe the UFC was something that you and your sister wanted to go to? Was that in your head from like when you were already winning championships, or was that something that you're like, I don't know if I want to take that route. I want to continue to compete in Muay Thai and things like that.
It just, again, in my head, because of our coach, who was always interested in building universal fighter who will be able to fight with hands, punches, with kicks, be able to wrestle, and be able to do ground stuff, So he thought that if you're a boxer who just can work with hands, so when you fight somebody who has kicks, you have this disadvantage. Like you don't read your mind, don't read kicks because you never saw it. So you kind of weak against people who are, let's say, wrestlers because you don't know wrestler. So he wanted, and he worked with his students, me, my sister, and other guys, to build this fighter who will be rounded in everything. That's why we competed in so many martial arts like karate, taekwondo, wushu sanda, boxing, Muay Thai. And mixed martial arts, it was just, it just was the sport that was just right for us, right, that we were looking for. UFC, first, initially, they didn't have women division. But there were different other, like, not US organization that had women fighting in martial arts, in mixed martial arts, in MMA. So in 2003, we competed in one Korean version of MMA, Kyoktugi. And since 2003, we were already competing with Valentina, like in MMA, in mixed martial arts.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, when UFC was ready for women fights, Valentina got into UFC and then me.
Wow. What year was that?
Well, for Valentina was 2015, and for me 2018.
Okay. And what's that process like? Like to qualify for do you qualify for the UFC? Does Dana White like call you and be like, hey, I've seen you fight, like you should come to the UFC? How does that go?
Everybody's different. And now, of course, there are more shows like Dana White Contender Series. That's how I got to UFC. So I just fought in Dana White Contender Series in 2018, and I got my second round finish. And Dana White, I think he thought it was super impressive. He said, yeah, we are offering you a UFC contract. For Valentina, it was different because she was already, I don't know how many time world champion, more than 10 probably. She had a lot of professional fights in MMA, a lot of knockdowns, knockouts, impressive fights. And of course, our managers just talked to UFC managers and they just got offered contract to her.
Wow. That's pretty interesting. I always thought that it was like one way that the scouts probably look at you fighting, then they give you a call. But I guess you're right. Like with all these different shows, different avenues to get in here.
Different ways now, more and more. And UFC now looking like more and more fighters, especially internationally. That's why more and more ways to get the contract.
Yeah. It's nice because you get to see a lot of different exposure.
Exactly.
With different talent and stuff like that.
And especially now, like you see all these new guys coming and they do crazy stuff and very, very high level technique.
Yeah.
And you just,
That's crazy. I want to know what they're eating, what they're training, what they're studying, because it's impressive.
There is nothing, like super, but it's all the same. They start very young. They're very dedicated, and they do different sports from very young. Again, when he's like, let's say 15, he was already, he knows jiu-jitsu, he knows wrestling, he knows boxing. And when he's by 22 years old, he's already machine.
Yeah, machine.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about machines, I want to switch gears into your aviation
Okay.
lifestyle now. Very impressive because you started flying just about maybe 6 years ago.
Yeah, about 6 years ago.
Okay.
Yes.
And you started your training here in the United States, right?
Yes, in Las Vegas.
But your passion came from reading a book when you were very little, right? You read a
Yes.
book about aviation. Can you take me back to that day when you read that book, and what did you feel that attracted you so much to flying?
Like before even reading the book, because reading the book, it was already next step. But my grandfather was mechanic of VOR stations.
Wow.
He served as in U.S. Army
Okay.
as a mechanic, but he always wanted to be a pilot. And he was applying to serve as a pilot in military. But this Soviet Union times, it was a crazy medical commission. See, he just, I think, like three times he applied, and three times he was denied. And one time he was accepted, but then he got sick, and there was a lot of competition, and just he was out. And finally, he became a mechanic.
Okay.
Yes. So he always told me about this story about pilots and stuff, and his dream about being a pilot. And that's how I kind of started to think about airplanes. And then, of course, the books. It just reading Richard Bach, like for example, and because he's describing all the flights. We know it's tough, flying airplanes that time from coast to coast in US. There are difficult things. Maybe you're hungry, you are tired, you are, fatigued, all this stuff. But he was able to describe it as like something very magic. And it is magic, like besides all the stuff.
Yeah.
It is magic. And of course, this magic kind of, was attracting me. And it was not one day or something. It just, it accumulated with time. And so when we were traveling for competition, I just loved airplanes. I was loving airplanes. I was loving to be in the airport. And I was a little bit jealous to people who work at the gate, who carry this, the luggage to the airplane. I was jealous just because they work every day at the airport. Their work is to be every day at the airport. Like, these people are so happy. Maybe they don't think they're happy, you know?
Yeah.
But that's what I thought about them. And that's how I kind of was always thinking. But my primary job, my primary occupation was martial arts. And let's say we traveled a lot. We lived like 6 months. We could live in Thailand, 6 months in Holland, 6 months, like 8 years in Peru. So there was no really time to make it like professionally, or even when I started here in US, I didn't start to make it professionally. I just wanted to start to fly. Yeah, but here in US, it's so developed, this general aviation. And the most important stuff that you can do it on flexible time, part 61. That's what I did. That I could combine with my training and fighting and studying.
That's amazing. So describe to me that moment where you decided to be like, okay, right now is when I'm going to take the first flight. Was it the right moment? Did you not even think about what kind of moment it was? Because a lot of people are sometimes stuck. Should I start? Should I not start? What was it for you?
That is the bad thing about people, that they start to think, should I start? Should I don't start? What it will give me? What if I invest now this money, this time, and nothing happens? I mean, you cannot think like this. You just do it. In my case, I was sure just I want to do it. That's why it was a matter of time, of finding the right flight school because I read a bunch of material about how to find a proper flight school.
Yeah.
How to find the best airport. Do you want to start in uncontrolled airport? Do you want to start in busy Charlie airspace airport? Or what airport do you want to start? So I just did my researches. In Las Vegas, we had two Delta airports, Henderson and North Las Vegas. North Las Vegas is more busy, like let's say very busy Delta airspace airport. And one Boulder City, which is uncontrolled. So I had options. Henderson, more easy, uncontrolled, and busy Delta. So I had an option. I chose middle. I chose Henderson Airport. Then I chose flight school. And again, how to choose an instructor. Then I chose an instructor who was the same, a little bit crazy, a little bit passionate about flying as me. Because when sometimes kind of weather is like this, but how you learn if you don't fly in this weather, right? Especially when they are very protective about students and they fly like calm wind, calm turbulence, everything calm. But when the weather is a little bit challenging, not every flight instructor goes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I found these flight instructors that go. It was very hot. We went. It was windy. We went. So he taught me very good stuff. So that's how I started.
Good. That's amazing. What was the most challenging part that you can remember from training? Was it instrument? I mean, VOR, you probably knew everything about VOR since your grandfather was doing that. But what was the most challenging for you?
Well, everything. Yeah. The two things that was easy for me in aviation. First, in Russia, we know degrees Celsius. So converting, reading in degrees Celsius, the temperature was the easy part. Okay. And the second is military time. That's 18 at 6 p.m. This is just the part that was easy.
At least that's the start.
Yes. Studying was hard from the first day. So I kind of, I had these books. And it was very confusing. It was aviation English. I was speaking English like already at that time, but aviation English it's just a lot of stuff more. So I bought this book by the private pilot course book by Rod Machado, and a thick book just because it's very detailed. It's just describing you step by step, very like in slow pace, how things work. And it was the only one book I could understand in aviation.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yes, because one day my flight instructor opened this, he brought me Far Aim. And he's like, Antonina, this is your book. And first I saw this book, how thick it is. Then he answered and like, read this. And I'm like, is it English? Is it English? So long time I couldn't read this book. So I started with Rod Machado. I started very slowly because I couldn't understand. I couldn't progress because I didn't know the words. Okay. When, all these words appeared like cumulonimbus and advection and stuff like this, specific weather or specific about engine, I don't know. Engine was my struggle, and airplane systems. So again, I read half a page a day. Because I was translating every fourth or third word. I was just translating. That's why I just moved like very, very slow. That was the challenge. And my flight instructor also, he's like, well, it's like seesaw. I'm like, what is seesaw? But it's a saddle. What is saddle? So it was a lot of, that's like English second language struggle. Yeah, but I wanted to fly, and I knew that without books, without this knowledge, I cannot take this airplane up and put it down. There was a lot of struggle with airplane systems. Sometimes I literally cried because it was so much and so tough that I didn't know if I will be able to do it at all. I shut all my social medias, all YouTube. I didn't look anything except like messages, my email. So I limited my time looking at the phone. And the only one thing that I opened is books and like YouTube videos for starting this simple piston engine. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that was a struggle, of course, and everything else. It's even more.
Yeah.
Even when instrument rating came with all this, like.
It's a whole different game.
What is MAA?
Yeah.
What is minimum crossing altitude? What is this? What is that?
Yeah.
But
It's a lot.
I did it like very slow pace, but I did it. I could finish it.
Is the vision that you had to be where you are today, gonna fly a Cessna Latitude, is that what kept you going every single time you had to translate every 4 words? The moments that you cried, the moments that you thought that I might not be able to do this. Is that what kept you going?
Really not. I didn't even have this thoughts at the beginning that I will be professional pilot, flying jet, and turbine airplane, to be a captain on turbine airplane. I initially when I started, I had just this first discovery flight, and it was unbelievable for me. I saw the mountains very close. I saw that my flight instructor could land this airplane, just like I want to do it. I want just to fly airplanes. That was initially. And all the studying again, I did just because I wanted to take my airplane in the air, travel by myself, land this airplane safely, and that was the initial goal. Then when I got my private pilot, other like flight instructors like, well, Antonina, now you wait when you get into clouds. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to go into clouds and without looking outside by instrument, get some places. I was just curious. It
Like,
was
how
much.
cool is that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. So when I was student pilot, I bought my own airplane, and again, I spent all my fight money in aviation. So I just on this training, on this flying, I just received fight money, and just spent it. I bought an airplane because I knew I want to know airplane deeply. I want to know how to own airplane, what it takes to own airplane, not just come and rent. I want to know how to service airplane. I want to know, I want to be person who has this way of transportation as an airplane. So I knew I'm going to do it. I bought an airplane. And the next one was instrument rating. Then everybody thought, well, commercial pilots, it's a real level. Well, what you did before is just kind of, you're okay, but commercial, it's level. You're like, okay, let's get commercial. And by the time I already got my commercial, I knew I want to do it professionally. I want to fly big airplanes. I want to fly it like as a career.
Wow. It's so, that's, everybody's journey in aviation, how they start, it's different. But yours is a little bit particular because think about everybody that goes to a flight school. They just come to flight school, get, do their lesson, they come back down, and then they go home and study. You wanted to know more. What is it like to own the airplane? What is it like to do maintenance on it? What is that like? Where do you think that came from? I mean, from that perspective of just wanting to know everything about it.
No, it just, I don't know, I am still so passionate about this stuff because let's say you have day off. All my studying, all my training of aviation, I did between my fights. So it was like this. I fought. I had some time of, let's say, a couple months of rest before next fight. That's when I did my flying stuff. Mm-hmm. Then when I started my training camp, like let's say 2-3 months, again, 3 months usually before fight, I had my like 2 times a day training, very intense and stuff. There was no very power. I didn't have power to fly airplane. I was studying. Mm-hmm. Again, then I fought. I flew, I studied, and that's how I did like about 4 years.
Wow.
And let's say in my days off, when I was preparing for a fight in fight camp on Sundays, you have an option to sleep or rest, to do something fun. You have an option. And I wake up and only my thought was, I need to go to the airport to see how's my airplane, because I had this, open tie down.
Awesome. That's
And
awesome.
how's my airplane? Because it's Las Vegas, open tie down, it's sun. How's my airplane doing? It was very windy last night. Maybe, it moved. I have to move it. Or maybe it's good day just to give a shower to my airplane. Or maybe I just go to mechanic hangar and just talk to a mechanic about, let's say if I'll try to change oil myself, I was just thinking about this stuff.
Wow.
Not because there was a goal for me to go something.
Yeah.
It just, you wake up and only one thing is just my airplane. How's my airplane? How is the airport?
Yeah.
Is it windy? What is the weather? So, like this.
No, that's amazing, because there's a point in time where you think about, okay, I finally made it. I got my commercial pilot license, and what's next? You already knew you want to be a professional pilot as soon as you got your commercial. You started to fly a turboprop airplane, the PC-12,
Yes.
and now you're going into a jet. What do you use from your martial arts? What kind of crossfades from martial arts into aviation? Is there anything in particular?
Everything. First of all, in martial arts and aviation, there is no end. There is no stop line.
Yeah.
There is no an end where you come and you're happy, knowledgeable pilot or fighter. You're world champion. No, you're world champion today. The next world championship, you
never know.
train again. You start. You study new technique, and it never ends. Aviation is the same. You can fly PC-12 years, and you still will have every day something new. Whether your SIC situations, decision making, it's every day different, and you every day learning. And especially if you want to go in aviation, it's indefinite path to go different airplane or different, different company, different airplane. And just studying. For me, the 6 years, I'm just studying. I'm already tired to study. Or I don't know, maybe I feel like this because I just finished this NetJet trainings. I just got my check right, got type rating.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it was long. We were sitting in this classroom from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. And, like slides. You have this cockpit picture on the wall, you do chair flying, then you go to classroom. I try to work out still, because if I don't work out, I cannot study next day. So it was kind of tough. This is similar things. The only one, I think, different thing in aviation and martial arts. In martial arts, you do it anyway. So in martial arts, nobody cares if you feel bad. You have to go to training and finish your training. Nobody cares if you're tired, if you're fatigued, or you didn't eat, because fighters usually they don't eat and they still train. So your coach don't even ask you how you feel. He just do your job, get this training done, then go rest. In aviation, it's different. If you are tired or fatigued or dehydrated, you just cannot fly. And I understood it during flying again, because initially I was forcing myself, as 30 years experienced professional athlete, I was forcing myself, if I even tired and fatigued, I was forcing myself to fly.
Wow.
And I understood that I can't do it, because then you really lose this focus, and in aviation, it's just this little moment. You cannot lose this focus.
Yeah.
So that's why I learned how to say no when you're tired and get rest.
Yeah, which is a hard thing to do, because like me growing up, also very athletic lifestyle, for me to say no to something is very hard.
Exactly.
Go to the gym, get the workout in, get that.
Exactly.
But when you feel that start to accumulate and you see that like you're not feeling your best when you're flying, and you're like, well, if I'm so active and when I sit, I'm tired,
Exactly.
what's going on? And it's the fact that you sometimes have to be like, I need to rest.
Yes.
I can't train this hard today.
Yes.
So we're speaking about how we train and things like that with aviation. When you were with your previous company flying the PC-12, how did you balance exercise, nutrition, flying to maintain healthy?
Well, I just had to balance, and sometimes it just. Um, well, I didn't already train as much as before because I was not competing professionally. I took this rest, and I'm still not retired, right? But I'm on this a big vacation from fights.
That's a good one.
Yes, a big vacation from fights. Um, I learned a lot of stuff because sometimes, yes, you fly a lot and you fly a lot on the next day and you fly a lot on the next day and you don't have this time for training. Sometimes I just woke up earlier before flights. Then I realized that it's not a good idea to train before flights because again, you get tired, you come to the flights already tired. You know, you're exhausted physically. That's why if I finished flying late, I still do a little bit of workout. And I had to manage my meals, my diet, because I couldn't eat as much as I used to eat, because when you train like twice a training, you burn all those calories, and now you don't. So it's always a choice, you know, or you just like whatever I just want to eat, or you just choose to be healthy in order to be healthier next day. You just a little bit suffer today.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit suffer today. And it's always a choice. And it's always a choice of every person to do this way or to do this way.
Yeah. Speaking of the food, I think that was really great advice. And everybody who's listening now, I think that's one of the biggest and best pieces of advice anybody can hear, because ultimately it is your choice. When I started this page of Fit Aviators Club, I've always been trying to tell people it's your choice, but so that you know this is what's available to you.
Exactly.
You can take your food or you can eat at the airport.
Yes.
You can work out or you can sleep in, or you can sit on the couch. You can slam click the door of your hotel and not see daylight until the next day.
Exactly.
It is your choice, but there are so many resources out there for people to make a choice and be like, hey, I'm gonna be a little bit healthier. So with that being said, I went off on a little tangent there, but do you bring your own meal prep on the trips? Do you cook yourself?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. I don't know how it will work in NetJets because they say it will be flying like 7 days in a row, you know, and you will not get back home. But at Tradewind, we had overnights, but usually we get back home every night.
Okay.
That's why it's easier, you know. I always prepared my meal. And I had my meal in my little cooler. That, you know, sometimes I forgot just to put this crew tag, and it went with passenger bags, so I lost couple coolers. But okay, I have this little cooler, and it's much easier when you have just this between flights. You have some rest. You just have your food already. You don't have to go anywhere, because when you don't have time to go somewhere and you're so hungry, you start to eat this airport very tasty snacks, you know, all these nuts, all these cookies and stuff. And they have, like at FBO, they have a lot of stuff. And you're like, I just can't do it.
Right.
So yeah, I did my meal prep.
I definitely feel the difference. For example, there was a trip that I did, and every time we go to Mexico, we cannot bring food there.
Right.
So
yes.
This was a 2-day trip, so I had no food. And my mindset was just at the fact that I didn't have the food that I know I can have that's healthy with me, gave me a little bit of like an added stress. Oh, now I have to go.
Yes.
Where is healthy?
Yes.
Where is this? What can I do? And I don't like eating hotel food. sometimes you're forced to have to eat hotel food because that's sometimes
That's
the only
what you
thing
have.
available. Not to say that it's not fun to enjoy the food from other international countries, because it's always awesome to enjoy that.
Yes.
But it's just a little bit added stress. You know, you got your routine going, and it's like, oh, I don't have my food anymore. I gotta go do something else.
I think you can manage a little bit of still trying this if you're in different place, you know, different country. You still go out and try the food. Doesn't mean you just eat your food, but usually everyday routine. You better have your food.
You
Yeah.
food, yes.
Because you want it or no, you will gain weight. You are not working out. You're not moving so much.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. So I want to now go into life struggles. And there are moments in our lives where we really have to dig deep and know how to push ourselves to get out of a situation, either during a fight or in actual life with something else. There was a fight that I saw with you. I can't remember who your opponent was, but it was a part, I think, that you guys were grappling, and she was hitting constantly, and I was like, oh my god, that looks. And but you stayed in there, like you stayed in there. You got out, and you both stood back up, and I was like, I don't know how somebody can take that many hits and go out. What goes through your mind in that moment where you're just like, getting hit, you know you gotta get out because you don't want to lose. You don't want to fight this fight to end until you get back up. Describe that mentality to me.
Well, I think it's what is normal for fighters, you know, because in every aspect of life, of every career or every action, there is something normal, right? For gymnasts, normal is to do all the splits. For pilots, they're kind of okay. They take this huge machine into the air, they land, and it's normal. How was your day? Yeah, nothing. Yeah, it's all good. So it is normal. For fighters, it's the same. They're struggling. They take the challenges. Just don't give up. And receive punches and don't give up. That is normal thing. That's must to do.
Wow.
Yes, and of course it's every focus, every mindset, and every personality. So of each fighter, a little bit different, but it's usually like this.
Wow. So, okay, so that's the fighter mentality aspect. How do you relate that to real life? Is there a struggle in where? What was the last time you remember? You're like, I have to keep going. Like, this is where my instinct.
Every day.
Yeah.
every day, because being a fighter is every day, because you come into the training every day, and every day, every training when you come to the training, you are tired because you are cutting weight, you're on a diet. You had one training like yesterday, and you're all sore, your body hurts, and so you're struggling next day just to come to the training. Then you're struggling to start. And that's how you do it every day. You're overcoming stuff. So during my fighter career, I was doing this. Then I started, I kind of found another challenge for me to be a pilot. And I can't say that it's a lot. When you land an airplane and it doesn't want to land nice, when you're student pilot, and you cannot do it first in the book or kind of in the simulator, right? You have to do in real life when you go with your nose up into the ground, and then like, wait, don't flare. Now you flare. So you're struggling every day with this.
Yeah.
Then you're studying, then you're moving, because with that's why I love trade wind, because they have different bases in different parts, like San Juan, Puerto Rico, New York, and now here in Florida. So I was moving from base to base just to be able to fly airplane in this specific region.
That's
Because
cool.
flying Caribbean, it's one thing.
Yeah.
Flying Northeast, New York, Teterboro, I hate Teterboro. I'm sorry, but Teterboro is tough, okay?
It's
It was
tough, yeah.
struggle. We
Yeah.
had like scheduled flights, Nantucket, Teterboro, like almost every day.
Wow.
And but Teterboro, it's always a headache. It's always like, you know, a stress. Well, so it's overcoming every day. I moved first. I lived in San Juan, then I lived in New York, then I live now here in Florida. So I just put maybe 3 suitcases that I have with my stuff into my truck, and I moved.
And go.
And then I moved, and then I moved.
Wow.
That's, of course, it's a everyday struggle because it's new place. It's you know, it's struggle, but it's what makes life interesting.
Right.
Because we don't have many things to make life interesting. You know, it's love, of course. It's traveling and, you know, food, flying, of course, fighting. But there is not a lot. But that's all these things that makes life interesting for you and to make life worse, I think.
Sure. I think everybody needs a little bit of struggle. To have a little bit of,
Absolutely.
if you're too much in the comfort, then you don't grow.
Exactly.
If you have a little struggle with a
Yes.
little, you know, discomfort, that's
Yes.
your opportunity to grow. Find
Yes.
yourself in different ways.
Yes.
And that's really great that you said that, because a lot of times people just are tired of struggle and they want comfort.
Well, feel comfortable for, I don't know, some period of time, then struggle again.
Yeah.
That's why I say people travel more, because traveling puts you out of your bubble, let's say. You are comfortable in your, let's say, I know people who live in with their parents because, you know, renting is expensive and stuff like this, and it's comfortable. You come. I'm comfortable to live with my mom because you come, food is ready, you know, laundry is ready, and everything ready. I understand it, but just go out, live in some different place, travel. You will see that people are different in different places. You'll see the tradition, the old traditions that you knew from childhood and you believed in this, how things works. They don't work like this in different countries, in different places. And you're like, oh my God, maybe I can live different way because these people live different way. Maybe I don't have to do this, like I was told, and I can do it my way, how I want to do it. So you just discover more stuff, and you just get these uncomfortable situations that makes you stronger as a person, woman or man, it doesn't important. So yeah, travel more, get out of this, you know, comfortable.
Comfort,
The comfort, yes.
Yeah,
but it's good to get back. Oh, I'm sorry. It's good to get back to comfort.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a home when everything is nice and you have your, you know, your wife, your children, and stuff. But besides of this, just go out.
Yeah, and explore. I think opening up your world is one of the most fun learning experiences to learn about other cultures, even yourself, different religions, different parts of this wonderful earth. That if people traveled more, they would be, I don't know, more probably educated on a lot of things that happen in the world. One thing is to hear the news about what you hear about the world, but that is manipulated unless you really go out there and really see what things are like. Jess and I travel a whole ton, and I can say that my life has grown way more than what it was, you know, just being here and training. Just training here, for me, my passion is training as well. But if you're always in this same thing, you're never gonna explore what else is out there.
Exactly.
You know, you're not gonna learn some things. So, with that being said, Antonina, I want you to give some advice to young women and young girls that are passionate about martial arts and how to pursue their way to continue going to achieve such great titles like how you have.
Well, I think it could be both, like martial arts, aviation, you know, everything what
Anything,
we do. In martial arts and aviation, by itself, let's say if you fly, it gives you motivation by itself. So you don't need words from anybody else. You just go fly, and after flight, you feel like with wings, right? You're just on the seventh cloud. I was coming to home to my sister and talking about my landings. I was just all this motivating. So I think in the training again, when you train, you get better, you start to win championships, it gives you this motivation. But my only one advice, it just, not advice, but kind of suggestion maybe, it just keep going every time. Because in aviation martial arts, there are hard times. You have to keep going. One thought that you have to have in mind, you can cry one day, but next day you have to race and continue. Nobody cares if you're tired. Nobody cares about your cries. It's just your life. Just don't stop to cry and go and just continue. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody's going to care about your goal and everything more than yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And don't complain, because when you're complaining about what happened and you start too much, let's say you come home and you tell your mom this, all this, this is stuff. Don't, just be more tough with yourself. Let's say, yeah, there are hard times. Just to give yourself a day to be, like whining girl.
Yeah.
But next day, just continue because it's just your decision. Be tougher with yourself. Be stronger on yourself. Demand from yourself more. That's what I would say.
Yeah, not to give up on the potential of yourself so quickly, right?
Exactly.
If you create excuses, it's because you gave up on what you really think you could achieve. And I totally agree with having that moment or that day of, if you want to cry, if you want to feel bad about something, but you have to rise at some point, and not too long after that. The next day is perfect, But I just feel like that's when people create excuses. They just give up on themselves.
Yes.
You have to own up to whatever it is. It's a lot easier said than done. But once you do it once, you're like, okay, I can actually, I have this confidence in myself that I can get back up again. And every time you fall, you get back up strong.
Yes. Other things that might help, it just, surround yourself with people, let's say, even on Instagram, right? Like you're on social medias, just subscribe to all these crazy woman pilots or crazy fighters who are just, on their Instagram. You just going through your Instagram and you see just one is training, one is flying, one is training, one is flying, and you're like, gosh, everybody's training, everybody's flying. So it helps,
That is awesome.
So surround yourself with people like this on your social media.
Wow.
That's why you kind of like start to. And what did I do today? Nothing. Look at this girl. She just do these punches and she's wrestling. It kind of helps.
Yeah, that is really, really good. I mean, in today, right? Because everybody's on Instagram today. Everybody's on the social media. And if you just tailor that algorithm so what you
just eliminate all these girls who are, doing, fun stuff. Don't do fun stuff. Just study, just train.
If that's what you really want. Right?
Exactly, yes. That's a real thing that kind of, again, makes life happy and interesting. And they're real, not the other stuff that are kind of, you don't need them.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Antonina, it's been an awesome pleasure being able to get to talk to you. Thank you for opening up to us about everything in your life. I think everyone that's listening or watching is going to love this episode.
Well, thank you so much, Fernando. I hope it was kind of interesting. I shared my story. Yeah.
It was very interesting. Thank you. And I'm a big fan now.
Okay.
So wait, before we actually go, I have one more question. What's after your vacation? Are you going to get back to fighting or is that a secret? Nobody can know.
It's not a secret. I don't know yet.
Okay.
The only thing that I know is just, again, my mind focus. When I wake up, I think about airplanes. cockpit preparation checklist, power on checklist. You know,
One day at a time.
All the checklists that I have to do.
Yeah.
Again, the first thing when I wake up, I look on my latitude cockpit poster, all the stuff. I understand that my mind and all my thoughts, it's about airplanes. You cannot fight if you are not wild fighter, wild, this strong, hungry fighter, because fighting is tough and it's dangerous, because you come in these small gloves and stuff like this. If you are not passionate about it, if you are not focused about it, you better don't go there. It's dangerous and it's tough. That's why I'm kind of I'm so passionate now about airplanes. Maybe I will rest sometime more and kind of want to come back. I missed my trainings, yes, but still not. I'm not missing professional fighting yet.
Yeah, I get it. That's
I miss already flying.
Yeah, it's only been a couple of weeks.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Antonina, thank you very much again. Guys, if you love the JetLife Uncovered podcast and this awesome episode with Antonina, please like, subscribe, take 8 seconds out of your day, give it a good rating, leave a comment. We thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next one. Awesome. That was so good. That was awesome. Wow.